Got the shot.
You
Uh,
did, okay, because
mhm,
you were like, why should I get that?
yeah, on Tuesday,
Uh,
so I went ahead and did it. It's called the Epoetin shot. So it's
okay.
called Epoetin Alpha, or yeah, Alpha. And I did a little bit of research on it, and what it is it's a shot that's supposed to stimulate your ability to create red blood cells. Now I didn't know this, but evidently the kidney creates something called erythropoietin, and that erythropoietin, what the kidney makes, is what stimulates the the bone marrow into red blood cell production. I didn't know that. So come to find out, the kidney is more important than I originally thought it was. But ever since I got that shot on Tuesday, there's been these side effects, and one is I'll get this kind of dull chest pain. Kind of feels like somebody's squeezing me, and it happens in the chest when I lay down, and it's happening in my lower back. So it feels like somebody's just like squeezing on me, and that wasn't a problem I had before I got the shot. So I don't know exactly what's going on. They gave me a paper with the information on it, but I didn't get a chance to really read all the way through it.
Hmm.
They just gave me the shot, and then that was it. And that I asked them if they knew when it was supposed to sort of take effect, and they don't really. The nurse was telling me that everybody's different, but I have to talk to my doctor about that. So I went ahead and did it. But even though, yeah, I went ahead and did it, there's still this looming thing of the kidney funk, like the kidneys, And I went and got the blood work done for the kidneys, and I haven't gotten back to the nephrologist about it yet. But it usually takes about 7 days or so for them to get the results. So I'm just waiting back for this lady to tell me that, like, you know my kidneys are in worse shape and blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this thing last night, and I was listening to this podcast about the Beatles.
Okay.
And in that podcast, it was a podcast about the paranormal. There was like this paranormal aspect of the Beatles that people that listen to their music don't really take into account, of like seeing John Lennon's ghost and things like that. And they had an interview with Ringo Starr, and Ringo Starr was somebody asked Ringo what he lived for, and Ringo's response was, "Oh, well, I have a son. Like it'd be nice to stay alive for him, but other than that, I'm ready to go at any time. I don't really have any too much to keep going for." And I I gave that I gave that soundbite a lot of consideration, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? Like when this kidney thing goes south, like I'm not really gonna miss anything. I'm gonna miss my mom, but but that's pretty much that's pretty much it. Everything I've ever done has failed. Every relationship I've ever tried to make has failed. Friendships fall apart. And it's just I don't really have. I think I've been ready to go for a long time now. I don't have any like overwhelming drive to do. I'm not an ambitious guy. I don't have this overwhelming drive to just stay alive as long as possible. It's always kind of been like, you know what? Now that I really think about it, it's kind of always been like that. It's kind of always been like, yeah, I think I'm ready to go anytime.
Hmm.
It's nothing that I'm trying to accomplish. I don't want to have any babies. And as I get older, I don't even really want to be in a relationship. I've tried the friendship thing. That doesn't work. I'm tired of people. Like I'm just sick to death of just there's so many people. There's just so many people. And I'm just sick to death of just everyday people. Not people in specialized fields, but just your average Joe Schmo. Just sick of people. The world is increasingly becoming a darker and darker place. People are getting colder and colder, and it's just not. What's there to look forward to really? You know, If you're me, you know, you can't tell the spry young college student that's got all this potential and future ahead of her. You can't tell her that. You can't tell them that. You know. You know, you can't tell somebody that, you know, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. You'll see. You can't tell them that. But the reality of it is, like, for me, you know, I have done and tried everything that I could do to try to make this work, to try to make life work, and it just doesn't.
Let me ask you this: does this idea that you're presenting, which I've had glimpses of, you know, more or less up to now, about your mortality, this comes out of your illness and the decline, I think. And when someone is a college kid, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, fresh out of college, you know, with the, you know, just the world is their oyster, they don't really have any idea about death, and that's why, I mean, they know about death, but they don't really, it doesn't really apply to them so much, and that's why kids often, you know, drive at 105 miles an hour and do all sorts of weird drugs and take chances because they feel invulnerable. You have looked, you know, you've looked mortality, and you're looking at it squarely in the face. In a way, you haven't, you know, the scales have been kind of lifted from your eyes, and you've seen things that other people, from a point of view, have not seen. And so you're ready to go, and it would be, I think it would be good in a way if everybody was ready to go, because they could live their life for the moment and the best they possibly could, knowing that they're going to die.
Yeah. But you know what? But the opposite of that is that you probably get more people doing irresponsible things with that. You know what I mean? But
taking more risks.
Yeah, probably taking more risks.
What's it all about, Alfie? You know,
I'm gonna take this hammer and bust this guy's head open. Who cares? Because I'm gonna die tomorrow. Blah blah. You know.
Well, there is, you know, there are codes of ethics that people have anyway, even if they know they're gonna, you know, that nobody's getting out of here alive. It's just that the realization of that is just, it's an incredible. It has to be an incredible experience.
You know, it's something that I do think about every day. I literally think about it every day. Everything that I do reminds me of this thing. You know, every interaction that I have with people, it reminds me of this thing. Of like whenever I interact with people that like aren't like medical professionals or should I say that aren't professionals and like aren't my mom, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna miss this. You know? Yeah, I'll miss the other stuff, like the stuff. You know what I mean? Not like the stuff, like my actual like physical possessions. Like, yeah, I'm gonna miss playing video games because I take great enjoyment out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna miss like collecting and building models and, you know, collecting action figures and things like that. But, you know, and that stuff means something to me. I'm not just gonna sit here and marginalize those things like, oh, that's just junk and it doesn't care. Yeah, yes, I care very much for that stuff. I would be very saddened if something were to happen to those things because they do bring me enjoyment. But other than that, like I hear about these stories of these people having these revelations of, you know what, when I had a baby, oh, my life just had so much meaning in it. It's like, well, what did you do 9 months before that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like who were you before this happened?
Mm-hmm.
You were just a non-entity. You were willed into being when this baby came into the world. Like you were a person before that. Like what did you do before any of this happened?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like this is what I was put on this earth to do, and it's like you don't know that. You know, how do you know? You know, what makes you better than anybody else? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I've never been that guy that's ever had like a life's purpose. I was never career driven to do anything. You know, I just wanted to just pretty much do kind of what I'm doing now and just be happy. But that evidently that's not enough. Evidently the simplicities of the things that I want are just not enough. It's just not enough. It's
well, you're not saying maybe if you had bigger goals or pushed through certain resistance that you've had and had better, a different purpose in your life, that maybe this wouldn't have happened.
No, I'm saying that like I can't even have small things. It's like you have, throughout my life, I've met people who do very little but gain so much, and I feel like I do so much and I gain very little. I used to try so hard to be friends with just people, and I would constantly face things like rejection and just flat out animosity and hatred. So I just stopped doing that. And as a result of me doing that, nobody cared. Disappeared for, I just drop out of scenes and just nobody cares to try to find me. Relationships, you meet these girls places and just none of them care enough to try to get to know me. You know what I mean? It's like this BS thing that these millennials do now where it's like, oh, well, if you don't get my attention within 30 seconds, then I don't got time for you. Like, really? That's what you want? You want like one of these TV dinner guys that you just pop in the microwave and just heat up for about 5 minutes? I'm like Christmas dinner. You know what I mean? It's multiple courses here. You can't just figure this out by, going on YouTube, checking this out. You got the turkey, the stuffing, all that stuff. Like,
Well,
that's me.
Well, someone missed out on.
I'm like the Christmas dinner here. And, and it's just, I tried that, been there, done that. That doesn't work. And I'm not, I'm not, I'm not, and I don't mean this in any disparaging way, but I'm not shallow enough to overlook things. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think I do.
I don't care, how the weather is today. You know what I mean? It's just like, talk to me like a real person. And unfortunately, I never really find that in people. So I just sort of gave up on that. Nobody cared. Family members, like even to this day, like even when I was in the hospital, my sister still treating me like garbage. Still. I could have died during that whole situation. Didn't even matter. Only thing she would have been concerned about is getting my truck. That's it. That's all she would have cared about. And even that just doesn't work. Tried with that too. I tried with my sister. Didn't work. Cause she just I don't know what her problem is. I don't know if she hit her head or ate some paint chips or what her deal is. But it's just it doesn't, it just didn't work. Rest of my family, same thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. Just nothing I do ever works. So I figured, you know what? Like I think it's time. I think it's time I just like wrap this thing up. Like I'm 34 now. Like I'm closer to 40 than I am 30. And just nothing that I'm doing is really working. So maybe, and then the HLH thing, and I feel like man, I feel like that wasn't supposed to happen, but yet it did happen. And then from there, it led to this. And like the HLH is just the perfect embodiment of how my life has been. It's just one bad situation after the next. But if you try to explain that to people, they, one, either don't want to hear it, or two, they are so far removed from realism that they couldn't possibly wrap their mind and fathom the idea of having a bad day, or possibly just being resolute in the idea of not living. I don't want to kill myself. And it's not that I don't care about dying, but it's like, you know what, if it happens as a result of this, then it's like, okay.
So be it.
Like I collected a lot of cool stuff. I did a lot of cool things, none of which involved anybody else. Anytime I got any enjoyment out of anything was because of me. And my mom sometimes, but mostly me. The martial arts, that was me. Collecting, that was me. Model building, that was me. Art drawing, that was me. The music I listen to, that's me. None of that has anything to do with anybody. Those are all solitary things I do by myself, and I took great enjoyment out of those things. But those were all me. I can't recall a time, and I'm sure that they're there, but the negative memories always stand out more than the positive ones do. And I have more of those
Mm-hmm.
kicking around in my head than I do positive ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
Because the ideal relationship is 5-to-1, positive to negative.
Right. But it's the opposite of that for me.
Mm.
It's like I have more. You know what the thing is, and I was thinking about this the other day, is that I'm laid up here sick, and every single person that's ever had anything bad to say about me or treated me badly, they're doing great. And I don't even have to see them to know that, because that's just how the world works. It's just how it goes.
Uh-huh.
The worst type of person you are, the more you get.
Mm.
And the harder you try, the more you fail. In my case, for me. You know? And it's like, man, I've tried to be good, I've tried to do all of this stuff, but like, look where I am, look where that got me. Think about it. Okay, like if I was gonna end up at this point anyways, why should I have tried so hard in the first place if I was just gonna end up here anyway?
Well, you didn't know that you were going to end up here.
No, I didn't.
Right, so you tried your best, like people do, like many people do. And, ultimately, we all have to get to this point, but I'm not 100% sure that you're at this point, but, certainly you're facing your mortality. But, everybody's going to get there. That's no consolation. But let me ask you this. Maybe we could talk about, I don't know if you want to, about regrets, did you leave anything on the table? Did you give it your all? Would you do, is there any way you would do it differently if you had another chance? Do you think that might be useful?
Yeah, sure.
Why you trimmed your beard, that sort of important things like that.
You know what? You know what's funny about that is that I trimmed my beard because I was inspired by Scar from The Lion King.
Aha! So yeah, it looks a little like it.
And Jafar from Aladdin. That's what inspired this.
I see.
Yeah, so I cut the sides down.
Did you have a picture and you?
No. I just like eyeballed it. Like I just like eyeballed it, and I'm just like I'm trying to do this thing.
So Scar, but you're no Scar. He's kind of a despicable character.
He is, but he looks cool. Like I just think he looks cool because like, he's just like the darkest of the lions. He's got the scar in his eye. I just thought he looked cool.
Okay.
Like I still think that he's just like he's a bastard for killing Mufasa, but still like.
Yeah, I know. When he's holding on by his claws.
Yeah, but looking at it now as an adult, I'm just like, oh, he's such a great bad guy. He's such a good bad guy. Like when he was just like, I killed Mufasa. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. So that sounds like there is kind of a shred of optimism in you. That that you would take the time to trim your beard and to do it in such a way that because I've been noticing it's been blossoming and I know that you're very happy. You were happy that your facial hair came back in a big way.
Yeah.
That's one little benefit, but seems a little optimistic that you would trim your beard.
Yeah, I trimmed it also too because I look like a maniac. So I trimmed it down so that way I looked less crazy. And on top of that, like the sides were like brushing into like my ears and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, I looked like a maniac when I like combed it out.
I see.
I look like a crazy person.
Yeah. So anyway, circling back. Sorry, I just derailed you. But the original question about did you give it your all? Are you leaving anything on the table? Are there regrets? I mean, obviously there must be some that you've been expressing.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of regrets that I have. I think that if somebody says that they don't have any regrets, they're a liar.
Yeah, that's what I think so too.
In order
I would do everything exactly the same way.
Yeah, it's
bogus.
Yeah, it's like complete bullshit, and it's just like, you know what? You can't change if you don't regret the things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't change if you don't regret anything. And yeah, there's plenty of things I would have done differently. I wish that I wouldn't have wasted and this is a big one for me. And this is a big one for me that I wish that I didn't waste so much time on people. I just wish that I didn't invest so much time on people and rather use that time to invest in myself to make me a stronger person.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to trying to be friendly with everybody and leaving myself vulnerable for like emotional attack. Because I'm an emotional sponge. which is usually like a characteristic of like the INFJ, whatever. I'm just an emotional sponge. Like I take on other people's emotions even when I'm not trying to.
Uh-huh.
So
Hmm.
I offend. I don't offend easily, but I offend. Certain things do offend me very deeply. Like when it comes to matters of trust. Like some people there's some people you can stab them right in the front and they're cool with it. Like, oh, it's just business. But if you do that to me, I take that real personally. And I just wish that with a lot of the people that I went to work with, these people that I trusted, people that I thought were my friends, that I had a good rapport with, and they were the first ones to stab me in the front. Like they wanted me to absolutely know it was them doing it, and they didn't care about the consequences of the fallout or how I felt or anything. I wish that I wouldn't have wasted so much time on. There were like a couple of people in particular that I wish that I would have just said no to. Of just like, hey man, you want to come over for a barbecue? No, I'm good. Like, hey man, you want to hang out after work? No. I'm cool. Like, you know what? We're cool here at work, but when I go home, that's my time. Like, you are not allowed in this space. I should have set those boundaries with them because I didn't realize how much people don't care about me until you ask them to care about you.
So you trusted certain people and hoped that they would not betray you, but they did.
Right. And from their perspective, they probably feel like they didn't do anything wrong. But that just goes to show their insensitivity, and their ability of justification and their unself-awareness, their lack of self-awareness. And just I wish I wouldn't have wasted so much time on that. I just really wouldn't. If I wouldn't have wasted so much time on that, I could have gotten into martial arts sooner. I could have learned new skills sooner. I could have gotten into model building sooner. I could have gotten into toy collecting sooner. I could have done all of these things that brought me joy faster if I didn't waste so much time on all of these dimwits that just I didn't matter to. You look back on all this wasted time, and that's a huge regret. That it's like, man, I'll never get that time back. And now that I'm running out of it, it's just like, man, I could have been doing anything else. Because I'm the furthest thing from these people's minds. I was just a blip in their Rolodex. I was just another entry in their Rolodex of people that they knew. I wasn't anybody special. I wasn't anybody important to them. And here I am. It all came full circle. I was alone when I met them, and I'm alone now. And I felt alone that entire time I was around them. I still felt by myself in a group. And this is not something that any of them could have possibly understood, but because they're just about the party and hanging out with anybody regardless who it is. But I'm right back to where I started. The only thing is now is that I have a head full of memories, and now I'm angry all the time, and I'm bitter because I'm here and they're out there having a good time, living their life, treating people like trash, people just like me, treating guys like me just like garbage, and they're going out living their best life, and I'm here.
That's true. But
slowly deteriorating.
But you could say their shallow and superficial lives are a total waste. I mean, if that's the way they're living their life, where they don't abide by other people's feelings, and they're insensitive, and they're just in pursuit of fun and money. I mean, it seems like they're more important things. As you said, like how's the weather? Who cares about that?
But they don't see that. To them, that is fun. So, their life may be shallow, but they don't see it that way.
Yeah,
and
but listen, I don't want to be the person who's always trying to interject optimism in here. You have a certain sensitivity to you, and you see things more deeply than other people, and that is it's a double-edged sword, but it also could be counted in the plus column.
And giving that a lot of consideration too, because of how I am. I'm this walking sort of contradiction to people, so they don't really know no one group or no one individual, even amongst my own family, you know, because I'm trying not to make it seem like my whole existence is just driven by meeting people, because it's not. I'm actually more content with being alone than I am with other people.
Mm.
But even amongst my own family, I'm just this walking contradiction, because my family have this idea of what like black people are supposed to be like, and I contradict that. So I can't even find any common ground with them, because I contradict what their expectations are, what like black people are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, it's like I'm too black for my non-black friends, but I'm not black enough for my potentially black friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in this weird sort of middle ground, and then you combine that with the fact that that I don't perpetuate any of the worst stereotypes of African American culture, and that alienates me even further. So I'm just in this weird space where I don't fit anywhere.
So you're experiencing a kind of, and I don't think there's a diagnosis for this, sort of an ethnic dysphoria, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you probably have heard of gender dysphoria, discomfort with one's gender of birth, but it sounds like you have a certain discomfort with your ethnicity.
And that's not something that I can explain to anybody, because for whatever reason people experience racism, but they don't want to acknowledge it. It's like with the people that I used to know, for example. It's like, hey, listen, typically I don't like black people, but you're okay, but you're still a black guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'll only trust you and like you up until a certain point, and then that's when like the discrimination takes over.
So Michelle Obama was saying something like this the other day in a speech, and she was saying, and maybe you could look it up. I didn't really read it carefully, but she was saying that people have this idea of black people. They're afraid of them, and people who are not black, and maybe even people who are black too, and for whatever reason, and so she lives her life in a positive way where she holds things in a just as good as she possibly can, and maybe she can do that because she's got money and power and so forth, and it's easier for her to do it.
Yeah.
But she tries to live her life in an exemplary way and ignoring the crap around her that she sees.
It's easy to but it's just like you said, it's easy to do that when you're rich.
And powerful.
Right.
And to put in books, and you could, and you're on the lecture circuit, and you get $100,000 for every little speech you give.
Right. Like if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't sweat haters either. Like, you know what? I may be sad right now, but at least I'm sad in a Bentley. You know what I mean?
And you're not.
Right. And it's just like being down when you're broke is way different from being down when you're rich.
Hey, point taken.
It's like you look at somebody like The Rock. It's just like, yeah, he's half black, and I'm sure he's probably faced discrimination. He's black as Samoan. I'm sure he's probably faced discrimination his entire life. But none of that matters because he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And it's just on the street level, like street level people like me that don't have money. These are struggles that I have to deal with every day. And it's weird. It's weird because I experienced this, but then everybody tries to tell me that that's not what's happening. And it usually comes from the people that are doing it to me, like my former friends. They're just like, hey, listen, man, it's not that I don't trust you because you're black, but I don't trust you because you're black. And it's like,
what?
Yeah.
Who are you, Donald Trump?
Yeah, and it's just like, but it's like, okay, and you know what? And I get it. Like, look, it's just like, listen, this is what was beaten into you by your parents or whatever.
Yeah.
This is what your particular culture grew up with, these stereotypes and these racial stereotypes and yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
But when do you get old enough to like wake the fuck up and realize that like maybe the stuff that my entire family is telling me is wrong. You know, it's just like there's this idea in the black culture that like all white people are bad. I know that's wrong. You know, I know that's wrong. And my family will try to perpetuate those racial stereotypes. I know that's wrong.
Right.
Same thing with, like, in my family, it's the same thing with Hispanics. They try to tell you, oh, you know, we're Hispanics, blah, 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 Filipinos, blah, blah, blah. I know that's wrong. Like, I know those things are wrong. You know, so it's like, when do you get old enough to shed the, like, yeah, there's always going to be one or two people in every race of people that's going to perpetuate stereotypes, and they're going to be the worst aspects of whatever that race is. But when do you get old enough and become smart enough to understand the difference of like, hey, you know what? They're over here doing this, but you can't lump everybody in there with the same thing. Like, honestly, I have a bit of resentment towards females because of how I've been treated by certain females over the years. But I understand that not all of them are like that, just the ones that I just happen to be unfortunate enough to run into, which is most of them. But I understand they're not all like that. You know, like, I find that most of the best ones usually, like, work as hard as they can and you just move as far away as possible, somehow finding other good people along the way, and then they move with them. You know, and that just leaves me just stuck here with all the assholes. You know? And it's like, it always feels like there's just more assholes in the world than there are good people. I could probably run into like 3 or 4 assholes before I even walk out this building. You know? But, you know, and that's one major regret that I have, is I would just waste so much time on people. Because people don't matter to me as much as people do not matter to me as much as they matter to other people. And I don't mean that in a malicious way. I don't mean that as in, you know, I just want to murder everybody in the world. But I'm talking about as far as like just being around just people. It doesn't matter to me. If you put me on an island for 6 months and I never saw another person, I would be absolutely fine with that. Wouldn't bother me in the slightest. As long as you give me something to do. And as long as I don't have to like do any like Survivor Man stuff. As long as you give me a way to survive, I could go for a year without seeing another person. I damn near did when I was in the hospital. You know? And it's just, when I got out of the hospital, there was like this whole year where I didn't see anybody. And I was fine with it. But the problem with that was all I had was bad memories. And the more well I became, the more those memories surfaced, because then I started to get angry and bitter about my situation. And it's like, I feel like I'm the only person that this could have happened to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, all these other guys are just out there just doing whatever they want, abusing themselves however they want, abusing other people however they want. And there's no consequences for them, but yet I'm always paying. And I gotta pay everything. It's not like, you know, I just trip and fall or stub my toe. I pay everything. Anytime something happens, it's not like, you know, it's not like the toll is small for me. I gotta pay it's always everything. When I was a kid, Steven Johnson syndrome, 3 months of my life gone. I was literally in the hospital for 3 months before they let me go home. I had to pay everything. I had to pay everything. Everything that I've personally achieved. I had to pay it all. And now it just transitioned into this kidney thing, and now I'm paying again. It's just never enough. And it's like, what else? Like, my very life, that's what I have to give now. My very life is what I have to give to just finally get some reprieve. And the saddest thing is that there are going to be people, when I fucking die from this, which is probably sooner rather than later, then all these people are going to come out of the woodwork talking about how great a person I was. It's like, you weren't saying that when I was fucking healthy. You weren't saying that when I was fucking here, when you could have saw me, when you could have called me on the phone and talked to me like a regular fucking person. Where were you then? My sister probably gonna do the same thing. Oh, my brother, man. My brother, man. Like, you weren't talking all that my brother, man shit when I was alive. You were treating me like garbage. Where were you then? When I was fucking healthy and strong and you had the chance. But you blew it. And now I'm supposed to just forgive everybody because I'm sick? That's not how this works. Yeah, that's cool for some people. That's not cool for me. It's not how this works. When you had the chance, this is what you decided to do with it. And then I'm sure there'll probably be some people that are going to be happy that I'm dead. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that are going to regret, man, I probably should have tried harder. Yeah, you probably should have. Because, as a matter of fact, I'm fucking amazing. And it's your fault that you didn't figure that out. So yeah, I have plenty of regrets. But none of it has anything to do with what I did. There is one regret, though, I will say, that I will always feel bad for. One, there's two. One is that I wasn't a good enough son for my mom when she was going through cancer. So I look at this as sort of my penance for that. So it makes this whole process easier to digest for me. Of like, you know what? I deserve this. A part of me deserves this because I wasn't good enough when I should have been good enough. and two, I wasn't as good to my grandma as I should have been. But she was a terrible person. In my opinion, she was a terrible parent. She was a terrible person when she was in her prime. And she treated her kids like garbage. That's why they're all messed up now.
Why do you regret that then?
Because I should have been nicer to her when I had the chance. When she was dying, this is how she died. She died from ataxia. The ataxia it paralyzed her whole body. But she died from bed sores because nobody turned her over, so the bed sores got infected. She ended up dying as a result of it. But during the end of her life, there was a situation that happened where she was having some sort of episode or something where she just kept saying that she didn't want to go outside. But she wouldn't make eye contact with me. She just kept staring at the ceiling, saying that she didn't want to go outside. She just didn't want to go outside. I don't want to go outside. I was having a conversation with her, so she was aware that it was me. But she kept looking up at the ceiling saying she didn't want to go outside. But because the ataxia had taken such a toll on her, she couldn't articulate herself the way you and I can. Because that's what ataxia does to you. It just weakens your muscles and makes you move slowly. Painfully slowly. Because it attacks your nervous system. And I remember not feeling like she was a burden on me because I always felt like mom just thrust these things onto me without asking my consent because she felt like it was my obligation to do it because they're family.
To care for your grandma?
Yes. So she would oftentimes just leave me places or thrust this person on me and then she would go to work. And whatever happened would just happen. And I don't know, she didn't do that to be malicious or anything like that, but it's just she had things to do. She had to work, you know what I mean?
So you spent considerable time at the end of your grandma's life with her.
Yes.
In support of her and getting her things or making sure she was comfortable.
Right, but I was angry.
Yeah,
but I was angry and I was resentful at the fact that she just dumped this responsibility on me and I was a teenager.
Sure. Why wouldn't you be?
You know?
Why wouldn't you be angry?
But, you know...
You had a life to live.
But mostly it was just me just, like, goofing off, having fun, doing dumb shit.
Yeah, but what teenager wants to have all these responsibilities thrust on them? Even though they feel bad about it, their mother's working and, putting bread on the table and, but still you want to be a teenager, you want to be a kid, that's what the kids feel, entitled.
Yeah, and then, on top of that, like, nobody else wanted to take responsibility for her. Nobody else in the family wanted to take responsibility for her. They just dumped her onto my mom, was just like, hey, look, she's your responsibility now, we don't care, until she dies. And that's when everybody wants to get their piece of the pie. But nobody wants to take responsibility for taking care of her.
Right, sure. Could, just as an aside, this remark that she was casting over and over again, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to go out. This have been sort of code for I don't want to die?
Possibly, but I think that maybe I don't necessarily believe in the concept of God the way the Judeo-Christian idea of what God is. But I think there's a lot of things about humanity and like energies and things like that we just don't understand. I don't know what she was looking at, and I don't know who she was talking to, but I know she wasn't talking to me because I wasn't saying anything to her. She was staring at the ceiling and saying she didn't want to go outside. And that was the last thing that I remember her saying before she went to a convalescent home because we just couldn't take care of her anymore. She was too sick. Mm-hmm. And that led to, the blood sores and stuff like the bed sores, what led to her death. But I do regret that. I should have been nicer. But she wasn't. She was a terrible person. She was terrible to me. She was terrible to her kids. And it's like, that's one regret that I do have. That I wish that I would have been just a tad bit more understanding. But now, it goes back to, now I understand what she was feeling. Not that I condone, now I am in no way, shape, or form condoning anything that she did. The problem with a lot of people is that when somebody gets sick or whatever, they seem to think that absolves them of all their wrongdoings. It doesn't. The only thing that absolves you of your wrongdoings is when you legitimately express remorse for those things that you did. Sickness doesn't just get rid of that stuff. It's not how it works. You gotta ask forgiveness. You gotta work. You gotta pay penance. These are the things that you gotta do, in my opinion, in order to get forgiveness for the things that you've done. That doesn't excuse any of the stuff she did to them, because she never apologized for any of it. Because in her mind, she wasn't in the wrong. She was just living her life. She just happened to have these, 7 or 8 kids. Whatever. That's one regret that I do have. But the major one is, that. I don't have any regrets about not having a relationship with my father or not having a relationship with my sister or my cousins or anything like that, because I just don't. I just don't. Because I see the kind of people that they are, and it just, you know what, I'm kind of glad I don't really associate with them, because with the kind of person I am, they would just hurt me, just like everybody else does.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel any regret for those things. Just the time I wasted on people, just other people, jobs. You wasted all this time working hard at these jobs. Nobody appreciates any of the things you do. Mm-hmm. I tried the career thing. I went to school for a year. Got treated like garbage by an instructor that relentlessly harassed me. And then turned around and then followed me from course to course. And just wouldn't let up.
Wouldn't you know? Irony of ironies.
But there is one major regret that I do have, and I wish that I would just say, you know what, just fuck it and just let the chips fall where they may and just blow up on more people that deserve it. Not people that don't deserve it. I'm not talking about the not being an asshole to the checker at a Rayleigh's or anything like that, unless they're an asshole to me. But I'm talking about people that really deserve it, like my instructor from the phlebotomy course I took, my night crew manager that I was working for. People like that. I wish I would have just given it to them and just said, fuck it.
Your feelings of anger that you internalized and you didn't communicate. You took it in and just walked away.
Right. And I should not have done that. Because with my personality type, that just eats away at me every day. That I have those regrets from not telling them to go fuck off when I should have. I just didn't do those things. And now I carry around that weight and they carry nothing. And I wouldn't have been doing it for them. I would have been doing it for me to make me feel better. Mm-hmm. But I never do that. Because people can take shots at me, but I dare not say anything back to them, because then, people are called, and then things are said, and then everybody gathers up of
they gang up on you.
Yeah.
The thing that happened with Facebook with your
Right.
and
Yeah, how
life
we
and all
gonna,
that stuff.
right, how we gonna get, you know what, this dude, how we gonna get this guy? All right, everybody get together, everybody get in a group, get in a group, get in a group.
Pile on.
Yeah, how we gonna get this guy? How we gonna get this guy? How we gonna make this guy feel like shit? How we gonna try to ruin this guy's life? That's the one thing that I regret.
Yeah.
Is that I didn't address things right when they happen. And that's not a mistake that I really make anymore these days.
So you're not going to leave anything on the table.
Not anymore. If you come at me with some bullshit, you're gonna get it right back. I don't give a damn where we are or who you are or whatever. It's just if you come at me with that, because I don't come at people like that. So you don't get a chance to just take a shot at me and just run off.
So your only regrets really are that you wasted too much time on people that really were not appropriate for you in your life. People that didn't get you, that were not real with you. They really didn't care about you, and you wasted too much time on that. And you regret that you didn't tell people when you were hurt, when they hurt you, how you really felt about it. You just internalized it, and you regret that you didn't. You weren't there as much as you should have been for your mom when she was suffering from cancer, and you regret that when your grandma was dying, that you didn't, I guess, were not there for her as much as you feel you should have been, even though she was a terrible person and you were a kid, and you regret that too.
Yeah, but those are only major regrets because I don't do anything else. It's not like I was just like, man, I wish I wouldn't have wasted so much time smoking weed. I don't smoke. Man, I wish I wouldn't have, sent myself to the hospital, alcohol poisoning. I don't drink.
I know.
I wish I wouldn't have had so much promiscuous sex with all those women. I don't do that.
Never had that. That
You know?
wasn't me.
Like, I don't do these things. I don't regret that stuff. It's all just personal stuff.
When do you think you're going to see your nephrologist after a week when the results are in? You'll schedule an appointment, or they'll call you?
Yeah, I'm letting a little bit more time pass for them to get the results in.
Yeah.
And then I'll call and talk to them and see.
Does it take a long time to schedule an appointment?
With her, yeah, for whatever reason. Because every time I go to the doctor's office and there's like nobody in there. But yeah, it takes like months for me to get an appointment. I'm just like, there's nobody here.
Well, maybe you should schedule it now. And the other thing is, I guess you haven't talked to your mom yet. I guess you're probably waiting for the results of this next test of your kidneys.
Yeah, because if there's nothing to say, then there's nothing to say. But if it's something that needs to be said, then yeah, I'm just going to wait to see what she's going to say. And then that'll dictate what I'm going to do after that.
Okay.
Because I can't send her on this road, because if I tell her that, like, she won't get it, and she'll just fly off the handle.
Right, and so how can we fix it, and she'll go into
right.
a dance about it, and you don't want that.
Right, and then she'll sort of make it about her, and it's like, I need to know the facts so that way I have something concrete to tell her, so that way, it will warrant her if she decides to flip out. Okay, the kidneys aren't working. Okay, that's something to be concerned about. But if there's still some functionality, okay, then she doesn't really need to know because I'm fine.
Carl, it's always good to see you.